welcome to Zack Attack Reviews. Thank you for joining me as I rank all 7 Phase 4 MCU movies. This has been a busy phase. A lot of projects, 8 shows, 7 movies, and everything's been so up and down. So what are my favorites? Which one are my least favorites? Let's start with number 7. And that's going to be Black Widow. I was really anticipating this movie because I wanted Black Widow to get her own Winter Soldier. Something on that level, a spy thriller where she deals with something in her past and take down maybe the Black Widow program. It's coming back, kind of like Hydra's coming back, something like that. But what I didn't expect was for them to almost take Captain America Winter Soldier and almost take it beat for beat and give it the most watered down version that you could possibly can, with some really questionable CGI, some weird choices to make it way more funnier than it should have been. It should have been a lot more grittier, a lot more serious, and to give such highlight to other characters that instead of exploring Scarlett Johansson's Natasha, it just was underwhelming. I like the movie. I've watched it maybe 3 times and I enjoy it, but it was disappointing. I think that they could have done a much better job. I don't know if it was the writing or the directing or studio interference, but this is not the movie that I expected. There are some highs. Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, was a delight, a meme. She made memes for days, and I'm really excited for her character moving forward. There was some action set pieces in this movie that were really well done and exciting. Red Guardian by David, I'm forgetting his name, the guy from Stranger Things that plays Hopper. He was great too. Even though he was a little too goofy, I think that he's still a really good character. And I enjoyed a lot of different aspects of it. It was just kind of meandering and underwhelming overall. But that is my number 7. Let's go on to number 6. Massive disappointment for some, or one of the funniest, best MCU movies for others, and that's Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm somewhere in between because I saw this was coming. Once I saw Thor Ragnarok, I'm not a huge fan of that movie like some people are. It's a good time, I enjoy it, but I felt like the Thor Ragnarok story and Thor itself could be better, just bigger, grittier, more Star Wars, and less Spaceballs. Like, I feel like that's where Taika took it, and they just made it even dumber than the first one. Just made the character really stupid. A lot of ongoing jokes that were really stupid, like love triangles with axes. I thought the goats were hilarious, but it just went on for too long. And they got Christian Bale, one of the best actors ever, to play Gore the God Butcher, who is an awesome villain in the comics, and just completely dumbed him down and didn't show him butchering gods. It was just a really weird romantic comedy mess that could have been much better. Natalie Portman wasn't really great as Mighty Thor, who's one of my favorite comic book characters. So in terms of adapting source material that I really like and actually collected, it was a disappointment in that fact. But the fact that I kind of saw this coming because how much people love Ragnarok, it wasn't a disappointment, because I came in there, I was like, this is gonna be a fun movie overall, and that's what I got. I laughed. Russell Crowe had a weird accent. The goats were hilarious. Thor was acting silly. It was a fun movie. It's just went too over the top for me, and I think it was just okay. Coming in at number 5 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This movie, though, is a massive disappointment for me because the way it was advertised, and I'm not even talking about all the rumors, because rumors are rumors. It's not official things from Marvel, from MCU, from Kevin Feige. So if you listen to rumors, you get hyped up, that's your fault. But the trailers for the movie, the way they set it up, the way they tease these cameos, the way the story was supposed to sound, they're getting Sam Raimi, who's a fantastic horror director, to come in and do a horror multiverse movie. There was not a lot of madness, and there was not a lot of multiverse in this movie. He barely went to different places. I think that Doctor Strange in this movie was a disappointment because he had no character arc, and that's proven by Benedict Cumberbatch coming and say that he really couldn't do much in the movie because he didn't have. They took the movie away from him and gave it to Wanda. And as someone that loves WandaVision, if you saw my Phase 4 show rankings, that was my number 1. I loved her character arc in that show, and I feel like they kind of just threw it to the wayside in this movie and just made her the crazy mother. And just her the way she displayed her motivations weren't great, had no nuance. It's like, I'm a mom, and I was just saying that over and over. The visual effects were really great, the action was really great. Another disappointment is that America Chavez, they Disney-fied her. I'm pretty sure the actress is a lovely person and she did a good job for what they gave her, but that was not the America Chavez that I would like to see, the Afro-Latina with who's a badass and has an attitude. It was a mixture of Beyonce and Salma Hayek. That's not what we got at all. But I get it. It's Disney. This felt like Disney was like, we got it. Tone the character down. But yeah, overall I enjoyed the movie. On rewatch, it's better than when I saw it in the theaters, but it's still a massive disappointment because there was just no character arc for Stephen Strange himself. Number 4 is a movie that I think is one of the best MCU movies to come out, period, and it's going to be in like top 10s now, and that's ShangChi and the Legend of 10 Rings. Simu Liu, been a fan of him since Kim's Convenience. If you know that show, you're dope, because that show is great. And Awkwafina, I've seen her in more serious stuff before, I thought she was great there, and I think she was a great supporting character here, kind of the yin and yang for his character. I think the storyline, while simple, was really good, and Wenwu, the Mandarin, the way they brought him in, and the actor, his name is, gone from my head right now. I don't remember what his name was, but he did a fantastic job bringing so much gravitas to the character, but so much layers to him as well. He did the action really well, and he's definitely one of the best villains in the MCU. The bus scene was amazing. The scene in the building was amazing, and then that final action scene felt like something like it was almost like a Dragon Ball Z movie. The action, the effects, the direction was all great with fun characters. I do think they jumped the shark a little bit with the third act, even though I enjoyed it. I wish they would have toned it down and kept it more of like a martial arts movie, but I understand they want to level him up to a point so that he can fly with these other powerful characters. But overall, I enjoyed this movie so much, and it's like anything you have problems with it is more of a nitpick than a fatal flaw of the movie. And number 3 is probably the most divisive movie of the Phase 4, and maybe one of the most divisive movies in the MCU ever, and that's Eternals. I went into this movie and I absolutely loved it. I was watching it, sitting there just blown away by the serious sci-fi story that was being told with these powerful characters that felt like comic book characters but also felt like real people. And I just really enjoyed the storyline, the action, the visuals, and most of the part was the direction, like the way they directed it. And it's not perfect. It has some pacing issues, and the movie should have either been longer or this should have been a series, but for what I got, thought it was great. I do think it was a mistake for Chloe Zhao to take so much inspiration from Zack Snyder, because as much as I love Zack Snyder's DC movies, they are very divisive always. Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, even Zack Snyder's Justice League are all divisive movies. They don't bring people together, and that's what Marvel movies have been doing for over a decade. So I can see why people are like, yeah, this is not what I signed up for, but it was for me. I love what it asked me to question, and what it questioned the characters and the conflict that it brought, and then that final couple minutes with that action scene, it was just so good in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but I know there's a lot of people who appreciate it more now after a year that it came out. So that's my number 3. Coming at number 2 is a movie that is very, very messy when it comes to story. It's the exact opposite of Eternals. The story is messy, it's choppy, it rushes through things. The character development is not really spelled out fantastically, except maybe for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but it's Spider-Man No Way Home. Despite all the problems, the plot holes, the silliness that's in this movie, still love it so much because it just gave me what I want, and sometimes that's just enough. It gave me what I want. I love this movie because they brought all the Spider-Man that I love together, and the first half of this movie is okay. It's not until Aunt May gets killed by Green Goblin, and we go on this journey, and all of the Spider-Man comes in, and they become these real supporting characters to help Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man to move along and help. In that third act, I think that was all great. That really saved the movie for me, and I really enjoyed my time watching this movie. And even on rewatch, like, it's better in the theater, but it's still really good to watch at home. So I really love this movie, and I love the ending and where it put Spider-Man. I always had an issue with him being like Iron Boy and not having the typical Peter Parker Spider-Man problems, but now they have resetted him, gave him the best suit that he could possibly have. He's poor, and I'm really excited for the future of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think he has his best movies to come. And my number one pick is not recency bias. This is just the most well-made movie that Phase 4 has produced so far. No pacing issues, in my opinion. I know there's some people that said there's pacing issues in this movie, but I don't think there is. It's emotional, it's serious, and when I say give something a Winter Soldier level, this is what I'm talking about. Give it that gravitas without copying it, and that's Black Panther Wakanda Forever, a miracle of a movie that lost its lead, that in the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, who was so fantastic in the first movie, and they chose not to recast, and I support that decision because I couldn't imagine them doing another movie about grief, because that's what the script originally was about, with another actor there while they're still mourning their friend. So I support them not recasting, and I understand why they did it, and I thought this movie was great. There is some issues with it, with some of the storylines that go on that does not deal with Wakanda, but overall I thought that Letitia Wright Shuri was amazing, and I think that she did a great job stepping up as a lead character. Angela Bassett as Queen Ramonda, fantastic, Oscar-worthy performance, roused me up, made me cry. From everybody, Danai Gurira as Okoye. I ranted on and on about this movie for weeks. I have a review out if you want to hear my full thoughts, but I think that this movie was fantastic. Namor or Namor, Kukulkan Khan, whatever you want to call him, he was great as well. The Mayan and Aztec representation, just off the charts. I just think that Ryan Coogler can't make a bad movie, and he made another great one under crazy circumstances. I love this movie so much, and it's my number one movie of Phase 4. One thing I gotta say about Phase 4, while it doesn't feel like it had any direction with tie-ins and everything like that, I do think that this phase was about grief and healing and trauma and community, and if every show and every movie had those themes throughout, and I think that's how it connected. It was these main characters that we've grown up with for 10 years going through their trauma and trying to heal, while introducing new younger characters that help them get to that point. And I really realized that with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that's why it ended the phase. So I really enjoyed this phase. I think it's the second best phase that we got in, because it's been so experimental, has some huge highs, has some huge fan moments, has some really cool stories to told, but it has just some, with more, because each phase has been a lot smaller than this has a lot more, so that's why it has more space to stumble. So even though it stumbled a bunch here and there, I still enjoyed this a lot. But let me know in the comments below your ranking for your favorite Phase 4 movies. Where would you put them? Is it completely opposite of mine? Am I crazy to put Eternals at number 3? Do you think Thor Love and Thunder is the best movie of Phase 4? Crazy if you do. No judgment. But yeah, drop all those comments down below, like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of my reviews, reactions, and ranking lists. If you didn't see it already, I ranked all the Phase 4 shows on a separate video, and I have more movie reviews coming for movies like Tar, Decision to Leave, and other smaller movies that are not blockbusters. The next one is Avatar. So I hope to see you guys on those videos, and you can catch more of my content right now.